Hey everyone, so it's preseason. You might want to try some new things out, add a champion to your pool, whatever, but it's more fun when you're doing the smashing rather than being smashed, right? So here are 20 champions that so far throughout the preseason have been doing amazingly well at lower ranks and should be solid moving into season 9. Obviously, there can be more than just 20. There aren't just 20 good champions right now. These are based on a lot of stats so far, but let us know below who you would have included instead. Jax is going to kick us off, and he is the best by a mile, no doubt at all, and even more in the jungle actually. The first thing is great scaling. Lower rank games tend to go a little bit longer. They don't end as quickly, and eventually it is just kind of right click with Jax. You have really good item builds right now. There is a lot of choice, which is great. You can match the game and the style that you want to play as well. You can go bruiser and kind of be a front line with like a Titanic Hydra and Sterix and health. You can also go full damage though with a Rage Blade or an Essence Reaver. The choice is really yours. I think it's quite easy to learn, but there is room to master him as well. Like you'll get to grips with him easily to start with, but then learning him will kind of make you win even more when you learn how to teamfight correctly or engage or split push. Brand is probably the next most broken thing to hit the rift for a long time at lower ranks. You might be a support, but you are the carry. You have great poke damage, but a kill combo at the same time. So fighting Brand is really hard and often doesn't go very well. Leandry's was buffed and it shows no signs of getting nerfed soon either. Dark Harvest makes him even better than before, and while he's probably the best lane support right now, he also scales. The difficulty is that if you get close to him to try and kill him, he's going to stun you and then proc the passive, which probably kills you. But if you stay away from him at range, you're going to get poked and you're going to lose CS anyway. That is a real carry support. So no surprise, Lucian is one of the only AD carries who can really stomp games anymore because he has burst damage, damage over time, mobility, tankiness, and damage from range. So first off, you don't have to position that well as Lucian. You have a dash to get out of trouble, and you can avoid things that would normally kill you as an AD carry. Damage-wise, you can ultimate from range while it isn't safe, and then dive in afterwards. Being so strong as well means that you normally always win 1v1s that you take, and you burst, so it's over very quickly. The damage is very easy to get off though. You're just using your spells and your passive shots afterwards. You build health, you have your dashes, you're one of the safest AD carries while still outputting a ton of damage. Yes, he has a massive skill cap for like comboing properly and animation cancelling, but it's not needed at this level. It might be a surprise, but Sona is one of the best supports at lower ranks as well, and it makes her entire team's team fight 10 times better. In lane, you have some poke now. You have a heal as well to keep a bad AD carry farming, even if they lose a lot of trades, and then you even have kill potential with your ultimate. As you rank that ultimate up though, and you get a few items, you're going to have the damage boost, the sensor buff and stuff like that, the shields, the heals you can pump out. That is insane. It isn't obvious, but the amount that she can do is crazy. Not only can you engage or protect, but you help everybody around you with the aura spamming just by pressing Q, W, and E over and over. It's very simple, but very, very strong and has been for a while. Kassadin makes his way into this video just because once you get level 16, you win the game basically. His ultimate at that level is bonkers. This is really good for two main reasons. So number one, as we said, games take a little bit longer to end, right? Which means you have more chance to get that sweet 16 and come back or just win the game. The second thing though, lower ranks are less predictable. They have kind of more chaos and more kills on average. So you can pick up a few of those kills, you get ahead early, and you'll get your items or reach your late game state faster. The other side as well is that, well, basically past level 6, you probably won't get ganked because you have a jump away. It's very difficult, right? Which is really cool. You're very safe anyway with your jumps. You build tanky. You have a gigantic shield from your archangels. It's not punishing at all to make mistakes on Kassadin. Now, Udyr is still a machine at higher ranks, but especially lower as well. I think people have this really bad issue with refusing to back away from fights. The problem with Udyr is that he can do whatever the hell he wants to. You cannot stop him really. He does crazy damage. He's fast, and sometimes you just have to leave that crap. Obviously, nobody's going to do that at lower ranks though, so he nukes you with Tiger and then continues to run around all game killing everybody else as well. Ever since that Tiger stance got reworked ages ago, he has been amazing. With Trinity, he bursts like a truck, even after starting to build some defense later into the game. So you have your damage, but you're also pretty tanky. Misfortune is basically the not really an AD carry, but still an AD carry, but thankfully doesn't have to build AD carry items, so she's actually good. Crit is in a kind of rough spot at the moment, so we build lethality and we play her like an assassin instead. Your lane phase is amazing, partly because of that actually, in the arm penetration that you have. Your bounces aren't that easy to dodge and they do a lot of damage, so pair her up with like a Brand or a Zyra or something and the lane is almost impossible to lose. The cool thing with Misfortune is you don't have to get that close. You burst people from far away. You don't need to attack move either. You can like fight early game and later as well. It's a really well-rounded good pickup. You can actually play Vigor bot lane as well if you want to, but we're going to stick to mid mostly for this one. So yes, you're a late game champion, right? You stack your Q up, you get more AP, but you can still do a lot of damage early and you can nab a few kills. That just makes your late game come a lot quicker, which is even better, right? You'll QR somebody and they're going to die, but even if the game goes late, it's okay because you are permanently stacking and getting more AP. Your cage is actually also a massive part of this, I think. You can stay safe, kind of, but you can actually catch people. You use it for engage. It is a huge team fight tool for your team to have, and it can win you games alone. No joke. Getting a good catch like that can just win the game. Now, Temu is more about how difficult it is to play against him. As weird as that sounds, it's not really how strong he is. In lane, Temu is really annoying with the poke, right? Blinding you when you try and fight him and just running away. So there's not much you can do about that. Later game, though, this is where it really kicks in. His late game is amazing with the new Leandries, with Dark Harvest, and his shrooms everywhere. People will always walk over them as long as it's in like a decent spot, right? They lose like half their health and it's very hard to play against. They're going to have to use their sweeper, but nobody does. So you get objectives for free or you start fights with a massive lead. All you have to do is put them in the right place. Next one is Zyra. She's a lot like Bran, except not quite as much damage in the lane phase, but more useful to have on your team mid game in fights normally. She is pretty much the best support as well outside of Bran at lower rank. She doesn't have like the stun into one shot thing, but she does have the constant poke, and if they get too close, that is made worse by the root. The massive thing with Zyra is obviously she has a plants, right? But it's her ultimate actually though. If you dive on top of her or a team, she can drop it, zone everybody away, and do a ton of damage. Her counter engage is just absolutely insane. It's off the charts, but she can also punish melee supports in kind of the same way. She can zone away AD carries, and it normally means that at least your AD carry gets a free lane, maybe a few kills, and the enemy bot lane is going to be pretty weak. Maybe not the most glorious or interesting jungle pick we have for this video, but Rammus always stands a very good chance to win a game at lower ranks. He's an amazing ganker. He does really good damage himself with his Reflect now, his Storm out, and his ultimate damage, so you're actually going to be able to kill people. He also survive a long time in teamfights, giving your team time to actually do something and making it more likely you're actually going to win. It sounds really weird, but having a front line is a massive boost. At lower ranks as well, full AD teams are way more popular, I think, right? And Rammus is the hard counter for that. You have engage, you have really good ganks, you stack armor, you survive forever, and you dish out the deep. Now, Darius is the OG low elo stomper, right? So, of course, he's going to be in the video. But to be fair, he stops high relos as well. The stomp build is normally Trinity Force into Hysterics more than Cleaver, by the way. You want that damage and that Sheen burst with your W, and you just roll over people. He's banned a lot at lower rank, so I doubt you're going to need me to tell you why, but mostly it comes down to just a very strong lane phase that is difficult for him to lose. Most of the time, if he's going to win his lane, right, he'll come out with that lead. He's going to dive people, run around, reset with his ultimate until everybody is dead. And out of control Darius is really why people ban him in the first place. Vel'Koz was a bit of a surprise to me in this video. Some of the harder skill shots in the game, I think, for Vel'Koz, but the thing is that you don't really to fully understand his kit to make him work. You fire out your Qs that have a really low mana cost, so you can spam them. It's fine if you miss. You hit a knock up though, you put your W out, you press R, and they're pretty much gonna die. Nobody expects the burst from a Vel'Koz. Like, even I don't, and I play against him a fair amount. They think he's just poke, but actually it's more about the combo, like the full ability combo. I think Bran and Zyra are worse to play against in the lane phase, but definitely he provides like more damage at level 6 with his kill potential and from a higher range as well. Like, he's a real damage carry support or even a mid laner. Another one that was a little bit weird for me, we'll just stick with this. So Ashe is proper weird. Immobile, not the highest damage, but for some reason, since preseason, she's been killing it. So plus sides are she's easy to play. She's got good poke and high range, which means easy to lane with, CS with, and stay relatively safe. The slow is really good for kiting people and stopping anybody getting away, which is awesome, but you have this arrow, right? Your ultimate, which people forget about and eat straight to the face. Your damage is decent, to be fair, later into the game. You're not a Vayne or anything, but it's not low either. The engage, though, I think is the big thing. Like, it can definitely win you games, especially if you're not like a true hard carry style AD carry player. This will really suit you. Another big ultimate champion is Malzahar, right? You press R, you win games, a bit more to it, but not too much more. This is amazing at catching people out, right? And turning the game into like a 5v4 for your team. It's really good for ganks as well, for roaming. It gives your team time to follow up as well when they're probably going to be a little bit slow. You actually do good damage yourself anyway, though, with Leandries, especially with the burn and your science on top of that, but I think it's the clear and obvious way to win. Your team fight is amazing, but it's also very reliable. You have this specific job, right? Press R, lock somebody in place, and that is how you win the game, which you can do every single fight. It's not difficult, and it gives you a really solid chance to win the game. Now, Nocturne is also really good as a jungler because he can actually carry, he farms well, his ganks are okay, and he can fight other junglers, like duel them properly. The best part though is obviously his ultimate, because you don't have to be in the right place at the right time, or not specifically, just the right side of the map really, and you can ult in and turn the gank around. Now, counter ganks are actually the way to flip a game over and get a massive lead. Like, it takes gold away from them, potential gold away from them, and gives it to you instead, and this champion makes that 10 times easier for you to do. Garen used to be famed for being a low elo champion because he's just very simple, right? Which is still kind of true, but actually he does a butt ton of damage now as well. At lower ranks, he has really good win rates versus stuff like Irelia, Zed, even bruisers like Renekton, which are really popular because you max your Q, you run up, you hit them, you silence, you run away, and you repeat. The regen as well from your passive is a lifesaver at this level of play. You'll miss less CS, you're going to lose your lane less often, all because you can duck back out and heal if you have to, if you take a bad trade. Now, Karthus is also a powerhouse because he doesn't really have a weak area for you to punish anymore. If you're accurate or your opponent can't dodge, you can kill people in lane just from your Q damage. It's actually insane how much it does. You farm easily with that as well. You can spam it out, not worrying about your mana because it's such a low cost. You can pick up kills around the map with your ultimate and get a bit more gold. Playing against him is pretty hard. Now, think of it this way, right? It's basically like everybody on the enemy team having 500 to 600 less health than normal, because you're all going to be taking that ultimate damage guaranteed every single fight. Amumu is another OG pick, but during the preseason, he can actually carry way more than normal, which is really good. That is why he's like a low elo stomper, right? It's a simple idea of how to win. You have one skill shot, you have a massive AoE ultimate for team fights, and that is your job done. Now, that doesn't actually carry itself, right? But now people are building Abyssal Mask, they're building Leandries, Thornmail, and like Rylai's and stuff. Together, that is a ton of magic damage and a very smart build that makes everything in it work together. So before we go to the last one, let's see if you can guess who it's going to be, because I genuinely did not see this coming at all. Pause the video, write a comment, see if you get it right. So, Yasuo. I never thought I would say this, but actually Yasuo at lower ranks does really, really well. I think partly it's because he scales into basically just a right-clicking machine. He can split push if he wants to, or he can team fight, and yes, there are loads of fancy things you can do with Yasuo, but you don't have to do those to win. He actually wins most games by getting ahead early. Yasuo isn't that easy to play against if they are half decent and if he gets ahead, and if you don't know what you're doing or you're not very confident in the lane phase. You've just fed a scaling champion, and that's pretty bad. So there we are, 20 champions in preseason who are stomping games at lower ranks. Let me know who else you would have had in here as well if you're making the video, but for now, I will leave you with the robots.